Welcome to Cord Art HQ, and thanks for coming along and seeing what we're up to. Well, today we're going to try and make what I call a double dog knot. Where did we start with this? Well, let's just go down onto my desk and look at that crusty old glue gun, and then you can get the idea of how I make my eyes. Just a good dollop of glue. I try and keep them even sized. Once they're actually cooled down and you can take them off, you can then go ahead and paint them. Now there's 3 layers of white on there, followed by 1 layer of brown, a dot of black and a dot of white, and then they're varnished. Try and keep all these bits and pieces off. You can file them off with a small file. But yeah, that's the eyes that we're going to use. As for the other parts, yeah, we're going to need probably a fid, small fid and a large fid, a pair of scissors, lighter, pair of pliers is always handy. With regards to the cord and the wire that I use, a lot of people say, oh, what wire do you use? It's an ordinary garden thin wire that bends. It does slot down into 550 really quite well, and it will go into 2mm cord gutted. So we'll be going down the lines of all of that shortly. So if I can recompose myself, I'll get a few bits and pieces ready and we're set to go. Welcome back. I have filmed this once already, but I messed up, so you'll have to excuse me for sort of jumping a stage here. But if I can explain, this is a 16-inch piece of 550 with wire in it, which is going to be our core. I've actually touch glued all the 7 pieces of 2mm, seven different, well, they're not 7 different colours, there's 7 pieces and they're all 5 feet long. And the idea is that we're going to tie all these 7 pieces of 2mm down this core as a crown knot. But I've only just touch glued all of these. The beginning of the core starts about 1 inch down from the top of all these cords. Now what I want to do, I don't know if I can keep it on line, but I want to whip about 5 whips along where I know that the center core starts, so that we've whipped the 5 onto the core. So if I just loop that over like so, put the loop away from the ends down here like that. I want all these inch bits, well, these tails to be as they are. I don't want to whip over them, so I'm going to go down 1 inch and start whipping there. So I know that just about there is the beginning of the core. So if I come down 3/4 of an inch and start whipping there, so I've gone over that one, over the top. Now this has to be really quite a neat, strong whipping. So I've gone over twice and I'm giving it a really good pull. Yeah. It's a 3rd time. Don't think we really need more than about 5. So we've got those 5 bits of whipping. I'll give it 1 more, 6. And then this end, which I've been whipping around, I'm going to now put that through the loop that we went over the top of. Down through the loop, like so. Pull that tight again. Then we've got 2 ends, this one here and that one. We're going to pull this one so the loop disappears into the whipping. But we only want it to just enter, like I just felt it enter then. No, it's not quite entered. We'll give it a bit of a tug, and then it's a bit of a tug of war on both to get them nice and tight. I've come down a bit too far really on that, but we can remedy that a bit later. All I'm interested in is getting nice tight whipping, like so. Yeah, we've ended up with about 2 inches there. I'm not too worried about that. We can do a bit of cutting around and playing around with that. I wanted this whipping up to about there really, with an inch showing above, but not to worry. With that done, we can now trim. That was gutted 2mm that we whipped with. Nice dark brown. Melt that end over and melt the other end over. So what we have there now is 7 cords secured to the center core of 550 with 5 or 6 whippings. Now these will be the tail at the end of the day, plus the whippings part of the tail as well. So we'll probably end up having to cut around here a little bit towards the end and then melt over. But I want to get started on the crown knot, which is going to travel a good way along this central core. I'm not quite sure of the distance that it does go, but what I'll do is I'll start the crown knot and go away and work out how much we need. But to do the crown knot, all we've got to do now is smarten up these 7 cords, just lay them down so that they go where they naturally would, like so. Now in the first double dog knot I did, the crown knot I did was my own making. It's a variation of a crown knot. I don't intend on doing that today. You end up with straight lines if you do what I did, but today we're going to do a conventional crown knot. So we're going to take this, what colour is that? A beige over the top of the dark brown over the top of the other dark brown. We're going to bring that around and over the black, black over beige, beige over black, and black over gold. And then the gold one will go down through our first over. Can you see that? There's the loop there. So that's going to go down through there. We're going to spend a bit of time getting that first knot looking quite neat. Can you see the knot coming together now? Yeah. All I'm doing is just taking a little bit of slack out of each one, till we get to a point where we've got to be a bit forceful with it. But it's all about keeping the shape at the moment. With 7 it can get a little bit confusing, but we'll get there. Now I find that with the crown knot you can go on forever trying to get that perfect knot, but in the end you have to say enough's enough. I've pulled all that I can out of it. Still got the shape there, that's looking good. Bring that one round a bit more. That one round, that one round. So yeah, you can play around with this knot to your heart's content, and you'll end up with something like this or something better. Yeah, you just carry on the process. Beige over brown, brown over and over, and then loop through. If I've not been quite clear with the crown knot how we do it, then there's plenty of good videos to show how to do a crown knot. So what I'm going to do now is click off. I'm going to continue, and it takes quite a while, doing a crown knot long enough to be able to tie 2 half hitches in it. When I've got it to the length and I can tell you how far you got to go along, then I'll come back to you. Well, hi there. Yes, now sometime later, quite a bit of time later, you can see that I've actually done the crown knot to the length that I need it. Yeah. Big amendment here. From the beginning I said that the core was going to be 16 inches long. It needs to be 20 inches long. I found out the hard way. I got to about here and realized that I wasn't going to be able to have enough core to tie my knot. And you might think, well, how did he get over that? But I did. That's all I'm going to say about that. So we've ended up with a core from there to there of 20 inches. You can see that I've just trimmed the tail now. All I've done is above the whipping, cut it off at an angle. Hopefully you can see that. I've got a lot of reflection. Yeah, there we go. I've got a lot of reflection on the screen, so I can't see if I'm central. So I've just cut it up, melted it over, and there's our tail. Yeah, I know that with the 20-inch core and then 14 inches from just below the whipping all the way along to where we need to be, works out, as I said, 14 inches. Now I'm going to tie one more knot. I know that we can get 2 half hitches out of 14 inches. Unfortunately, when I made the original, I didn't measure, I just went for it. That's why I've made life for myself a bit difficult. So having those 14 inches along there, that gives me about 6 inches of wire left over, which we're going to be shaping around into a head shape. Yeah, but I like to finish this off. All of our cords are coming outside from the sides. I want them to be coming up, so I'm going to be tying a walnut. So the walnut, as I see it, is you first of all do a crown. Go for doing the crown, so we'll go over and over and over the brown, over the second brown, over the beige, and the beige comes down through the hole that the loop that we made in the first instance. And again, we just tighten this up like so, so that we're got a loose crown knot, if you like, something like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go with this one. We'll start with this brown. Where this second brown comes out, which is the next one over, we'll be coming up through there. This one will be coming up through where the black hole is. This one will be coming up where the gold hole is, and you work your way round. I'll put those through and come back and show you, but the tightening I'll do offline because it's a bit fiddly, especially with 7. Back shortly. So there you are. I did the crown first, and then I've actually put up each of the 7 strands through the appropriate loops. I've ended up with all the 7 strands going up the core still. Okay, looks a bit of a mess, but once it's tightened, I'll come back to you. Well, hopefully you can see my walnut just there. Just if I bring it closer, it does just finish off the end nicely. So that will give us about 14 and an extra knot in length, 14 inches in length. So what's the next process? Well, I like to actually start tying the knot, or the 2 half hitches, to see where I am. Now with the 2 half hitches, you'll have to bear with me with the way the angle of the camera is, but I tend to do a half hitch like this. So we've gone over and behind, like so. Yeah, we're going to push that down through there, feed our core through. It's a very labour intensive project. As you can imagine, the actual weaving of all the crown knot takes quite some time. Now you end up with 1 large loop on the bottom and 2 half loops, well, the other side. I like to have them like so. So the tail's going to stick up like so. That's going to be like a part of the belly. Yeah. And then it's just a matter of doing the same again, up, behind. Yeah. Feed it all through the loop, through there. Yeah. And then I'm going to probably come back off of line again and tidy it all up. If I can get all these single 2 millimeters through. That's 2 or 3 there. One more, then we can feed them through. And we're starting to get our double dog knot. The dimensions that I've given are correct. You can see that this one is a bit too big, so we're going to pull a bit of that. Make sure there's enough for his tail. Up like so. There's his tail. But we're going to bring some of this through the whole knot. Like so. We don't want a gap in the middle, so that's going to come up through this one. Now I'm going to get it to just about where I want it, and then I'll present it to you again. But we have the double loops going over the top, single loops at the bottom. Bit of super glue will sort out the positioning of the tail, and a little bit of super glue here and there will make it a bit more rigid. But I'll come back to you when I've got it just how I want it. Well, I'm happy with that. When I left you, I'd actually tied the front knot in the wrong direction, so you will have to think about that. Half knots can go 2 different ways, but yeah, that's coming out just as I want it. I'm going to have a short break now, have some lunch, and I'll come back and we'll start to develop the head. basically what's going to happen is that piece of wire, the core, is going to be shaped around to make the head, and then we're going to put a fid on this and bring it back into the neck somewhere around there, yeah. And we're going to use some of the cords to go up and around to the eyebrow, and a couple of the cords to go along the bottom just here. We're going to do a double cobra for his nose, and then we'll start looking at how we're going to sort his ears out. So I'll come back to you. Well, welcome back. I've got this knot just how I want it now. I've put a little bit of super glue around it just here and there, just so it doesn't shift again. I've bent the central core round to make a dog face, and I've just passed it through my walnut. I've touched on this end, just on the bottom of the chin there, with just a touch of super glue before I switched on. Now all I'm going to do is just twist this fid off like so. Now the idea is that I want to put a knot up round the head as far as just above the eyebrow, yeah. Again, I want to put a small knot. We've gone offline, yeah, so we'll do that again. We're going to use a brown on the black of these strands here to do a cobra up round just to the top of the eye, and that cobra is going to be how can I say, it's going to be facing, it's going to be flat on the outside, so it's going to be tied like so, but with the knot at the bottom we want to keep that from moving, so we'll do about 2 or 3 cobras, but they'll be lateral, they'll be along the base of its neck sort of thing, so 2 or 3 cobras flat along that surface, and then we're going to put a cobra flat this way going round to the top of the eye. We've got a black and a dark brown that I can go up there, and a black and a dark brown I can go along there. So in fact what I'll probably do is cut these off, the extra off. We can actually get rid of the gold and the 2 beiges, like so. Now everything's a bit tight in there with regards to trying to melt them down, so I'm just going to stop them fraying by just putting a touch of super glue on the top of each of those that I've just cut. So on those 3, so a touch of super glue on each of those 3 that I've just cut. So we'll end up with 2 blacks and 2 browns. I'll do a cobra how I want it to be up to the top of the eye, and a small one underneath just to keep that chin in, and I'll come back to you and I'll show you the direction, what I'm talking about. So just coming back into shot, looking at the head, this is what I was trying to explain. We use a brown and a black cord from the main bulk of them. We actually go up to about the eyebrow with a cobra, but that is facing that way, yeah, with just the underneath. Let's see if we can see this one, just point it out to you, that this one here, that goes flat along its chin, if you like. It doesn't go the same orientation as the top part here, it goes the opposite. So this is vertical, if you like, and that is horizontal. Now what I'm going to do, now these were whole cord still because they was from the bulk of the dog. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the eyebrow down to where I think the nose might start with some gutted brown cord, 2mm, and do a cobra again down along this section. Yeah, once I've got to this section, I'll go to black gutted cord and do a cobra around its nose and then come back over it to make it into a king cobra, and then we'll go to the next stage from there on. But I will do this off screen. I keep going off screen actually. So just to reiterate, a cobra down as far as the nose, and then the nose will be a cobra and a king cobra back. I'll come back to you and we'll go to the next stage. Well, making progress. He's starting to look quite nice now. We come round to the front of his nose. You can see that the cobra there is the gutted 2mm that was on about the brown, and then his nose is the king cobra. All I did was follow down from the brown round and then back up again doing the cobra. So what's next? Well, he needs an ear, or in fact he needs 2 ears. I've only made the one so far. See if we can get it into shot. There we go. Yeah, it's a 7-bite angel's wing, and I've just stitched around the outside with gutted 2mm brown. The black is full cord, and our next step is to make one of those. Hi. Well, I have made an angel's wing as a video. You can go to my cord art site and see that, but I will make the beginning part of this, if we're on shot, yeah, for the beginning part. So I've got about 55 inches of black full cord, 2mm full cord. I'd normally have it coming off of the reel because I don't usually measure it out. It's just that I've had this bit of black separately. So all I'm going to do with this 55 inches of cord is double it round like so, come over the top, and we want to do a 7-bite angel's wing. I think this is just enough cord. Right, so we've come over the top, we're going to go round the back and bring this loop up through. In doing so, we've got 1 bite just there. We're going to bring this lot over the top of the bottom one, bring it up through the middle, the loop. We've gone over the bottom, so we're going to come underneath the second one and over the third. Now I'll concentrate on this, so I'll just be showing rather than talking. No good. I'm going to have to put a pin in that end just to stop it all coming off, like so. Then that loop won't fall off. So we've now gone under, over. We're going to go under this one. Says it's not going to fall off, I hope. So that was under, over, and over. We've now got 1, 2, 3 bites. We want 7. loop over, over, under, and over. And we'll just straighten that out a bit, separate the two sides like so. At the moment we've got 4 bites. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring the cord around the bottom, so we're going behind, in front, behind, over, under, and over. And that cord is crossed over, so we need to make sure that they don't. Up to 5. This will be our 6th one. Just separated the two sides, so we've got a clear way up through the centre there. We're coming over the top, under, over, under, so we've got to 6 there. We just separate those again, going up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7's just about right, probably get away with 6. Then we're going to come under, over, should have separated them a bit better. Back through and over. Mistake there. It's gone over too. We'll come back. Over. Right, so there we are. We've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bites. And when it's tightened, it will look like that. So obviously a lot of that cord's going to be wastage. So that's why I like to come off the reel of black rather than measure out a length. Now, I'm not going to tighten this all the way through with you. I'll take that pin out and show you how I start. I usually pull that one to there. Hope I'm in shot. There we go. That one to there. Bring the slack through and up, and then this one will tighten down through there, and it's a matter of tightening the process. You'll probably have to do 2 tightenings. I'll come back to you when I've done that. Well, after 2 tightenings, this is what you should end up with. And an angel's wing with 7 bites along the top, and it's the same shape as the one I've made already. Now, I'm not going to go through the process of where are we? Can't find us. I'm not going to go through the process of actually putting the brown right the way down the sides here, but small fid, bit of gutted cord, and you're away. It's just a matter of following the loops down each side. Yeah, just down each side, and you'll get the same effect as this one. I don't know what's happened to my camera. There, you'll get that effect. Yeah. What are we going to do next? We're going to concentrate on making the legs. So as you can see, I've got 3 cords coming down from a position that I think a leg would be good. I've just teased into one of the cords. I've put an 8-inch piece of brown cord, well, it's not brown cord, it's a beige cord, through it with a small fid. That's a big fid. And then the 3rd piece, I've just touch glued it between the 2. Now that is going to be the core of the leg. Yeah. It's going to, you won't see the first part of it because that's going to be covered by a crown knot. I think we'll have dark brown on that one, and then when we've had enough dark brown going on, we're going to make this into the foot and then the toes as well. So what my intention is now is to find 2 pieces of brown cord. Hope we're in shot still. They are gutted. I don't know why. They shouldn't be gutted. So I'm gonna actually cut myself two 10-inch pieces of whole brown cord, and do a crown knot down to about 1 inch along there, and I'll come to you. I'm gonna just loop the 2 10-inch pieces around this central position here, so that I can then tie a crown knot down there, and I'll come back to you then. Well, there's the second ear done. As you can see, it doesn't take a great deal of effort just to put a bit of brown around the edges, so they're ready to actually go on. They'll be glued on eventually. We got the eyes, which we started with, to one side. Let's turn our attention to the leg and the foot. Now, what do we need to make a leg and a foot? We need 2 12-inch pieces of full 2mm cord. Now I've melted these so that they'll take a small fid. So that's 2 12 inches. 1 piece of the brown that you want the foot to be. Well, it's a beigey colour that I'm using. So that's 8 inches. And then there's a 4-inch. They're both full cord. And then I've got about 6 to 7 inches of gutted, the same colour. And I'm going to show you what I've done with this leg and foot, because it's a bit awkward trying to film what I've actually done. The first thing you have to do is decide on 4 positions around the dog. I mean, I've decided to go there. The second one this side will probably be about there. Turning round, keep them more or less in line. I'll be coming off of there. Yeah, there, and then probably around here down. Yeah. So what I did was I got hold of the 2 pieces of full beige cord. I put one through one of the loops on the actual dog, fed it through with a fid. I then put that gave me a double piece coming off of the dog, like so. Once I'd done that, I just touch glued the third piece so that I could use this as a core for putting the crown knot down. So in effect, I think I've actually shown the picture of that. We had three cords coming down. Yeah. I then actually put each of the brown pieces, the 12-inch brown pieces, in through 2 more loops onto the dog, onto its shanks just there, close to the core. That gave me 4 cords, and all I did was actually put I've done probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 crown knots down that core. Yeah, these are obviously now going to be cut off. These 4, they're going to be cut off and melted. But then if we look at the foot, what I did was, obviously we had 3 cords coming out of the bottom of the leg. I got hold of the gutted piece of cord, which was, I said, it was about 8 inches long, and I tied a cobra around all 3, and it's basically 3 or 4 stitches, or 3 or 4 cobras down there, and that's the loops coming out from that cobra. Yeah. Then with the remaining 3 cords, the full cords that poke out through the foot, I've just tied a half hitch to make toes, and obviously these are going to be cut off. These 3 are going to be cut off as well. So if we cut those off and melt them at the moment, that's 1, 2, 3. We'll cut the cobra ones, and we cut the 4 crown knot ones. I did put a little bit of super glue just on the bottom of the crown so that I could work on the foot without this unraveling, just to hold its place. I've got a bit of cleaning up to do after this. Right, so I think you can now see, I won't heat these up on screen, but I think you can actually see that we've now got the leg. Where you actually mount the leg in the first instance depends on how long it's going to be. I mean, this one, let's measure that one. This one is just on the inch, but it's on the bottom of the knot. If you decide to actually come off the side of the knot and then down, it could be that it would be 1 1/8 inches, so that they're all square. You've got to sort of more or less keep them square like so. Yeah. Now I'm going to melt these off, do the other 3 legs, and then we can decide where we want to put the eyes and where we're going to position the ears, like so. So obviously we want to see the eye, so it looks like the eye is, if I can get hold of one, the eye is going to go, well, the eye will actually tuck just about there. Yeah, I don't know if you can actually see that, just about there, but we've got to leave room to put the ear on, but we'll sort that out once I've done the legs. Be back to you soon. Well, welcome back to the last part of this video. You can see I've been busy. I've got the 4 legs on now. He's got nice little tootsies on the bottom of his feet. He looks a little bit angry. but that's the way he's come out, unfortunately. But I like his little legs, tail's come up nicely, and his ears are looking good. I had a bit of a job trying to get the eyes just where I wanted them and the ears just where I wanted them, but it's all doable. Oh, and he's got some whiskers there. Look, that's whiskers. So I hope that you've got the basic idea on how to make one of these double dog knots. I'm always on Messenger if you wanted to have a go and you got caught up and wanted a pointer in the right direction. I think I preferred the way that I did it before, when it was straight lines all the way round the knot, but this has come out really quite well. I'm quite pleased with him. So all I can say is thanks from Cord Art, and if you fancy it, don't forget Paracord off. We're always looking for new people. Thanks. Bye bye.